sweat. The man of steel, a hero reborn. The legend is real. From the heart of Metropolis, he stands so tall. Rachel's lowest, the sharpest of all. With truth and justice, a story untold. A Superman saga, both new and bold. It's gonna be epic, it's gonna be grand. The world's gonna cheer, the world's gonna stand. With hearts, with humor, with heroics untamed. The DC we love is reborn in his name. Villains will rise, but hope never fades. Battles that shake the skies in cascades. From Smallville's fields to the stars up high. He's here to inspire, to lift, to defy. No longer just a hero, he's legend reborn. A symbol of light where the shadows are worn. James Gunn's vision, both mighty and wide. A Superman movie with soul as its guide. It's gonna be epic, it's gonna be grand. The world's gonna cheer, the world's gonna stand. With heart, with humor, with heroics untamed. The DC we love is reborn in his name. The action roar, the spectacle shine. A Superman film for all of time. Not just a movie, but something much more. A hero of hope, the one we adore. It's gonna be epic, it's gonna be grand. A Superman tale we all understand. Strength of the past, the future in flight. The man of tomorrow returns tonight. Faster than lightning, soaring above. Superman story, crafted with love. James Gunn's vision, bright as the sun. The new age has just begun.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Watchtower. That's right. We're here. Well, I'm here, and so is Comic Cuts that way. There he is, and Derpy, and we're
What's
waiting for
up?
one, but that's all right, guys. We've seen it. We've seen it.
Yes.
I saw it today. I think Comic Cuts also saw it today,
Yep.
I saw it
and
Tuesday.
Derpy, you saw it. You've seen it twice now, haven't you?
No, I'm seeing it Saturday.
You're seeing it again Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see who's here. Now, I do want to throw something out there in the chat. The first half of this show, I want to try and do non-spoiler talk. That way, for people who want to get our reactions for it and our review on the movie that haven't seen it yet. So try in the chat to stay non-spoiler right now. And then the second half, I am actually going to put this up right now. Non-spoiler discussion. There you go. That way anybody who joins will know we're not talking spoilers right now. But let's see who is in the chat. We have Hope for Life. He says, I'm glad you liked the movie, Slav. I can't wait to see it for myself this weekend. Awesome. Critic Chris says, hey, Slav, Hope for Life. Y Arc 9 talking about Supergirl. Says Millie's going to be great in that role. I agree. Jay Casali, it's a shame you thought it was not great because I'm glad Superman is acting like Superman again. Here's the thing, my out of theater reaction, I don't do those very often. Okay, so before we really get into our discussion about all of that, I want to say I don't do out of theater reactions very often. So one, it was kind of hard for me to do that. Two, yes, I enjoyed the movie. I have some issues with it. I enjoyed it. So don't think that I did not enjoy the movie. I did enjoy the film. I just have some issues with it. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Toxic Carnage. How are we feeling about the movie, boys? We will get into that in a second. Emo Nerd Girl, I haven't seen it yet. Well, perfect. Stick around for this first half, and we will talk non-spoilery about the movie, so don't worry. Hunter Iggy / Free Talk, what is your thoughts on people giving James Gunn's Superman movie 7 out of 10? And we'll discuss that. Now we're going to jump into it. Superhero Cuts will be here shortly. I know he's got some things in his mouth or something like that. I don't know what he was saying.
That was me, actually.
Oh, that was you? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sounds a lot worse than it is. It's just, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So real quick, what I want to pull up here, let's see if I can pull it up. Oh, nope.
How's the tomatoes? I haven't checked it in a minute.
That's what I'm trying to pull up, but not having any luck because I'm pressing the wrong buttons here. It's like I've never done this before.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So currently, Rotten Tomatoes for the critics is at 83%, and the audience at 2,500 plus verified ratings is at 96%. For those of you who don't understand what verified ratings are, those are ratings that are verified that the audience has actually seen the movie. There is a difference between, because anybody can go on and put their review on Rotten Tomatoes without any, whatever, I can go put my review on. But for it to count towards the popcorn meter, you have to be a verified rating. And to do that, you essentially have to buy your ticket through Fandango. That's pretty much the only way to do that. So if you buy your tickets through Fandango, connect your Fandango account up to Rotten Tomatoes, and that can verify that you have seen the movie, and your rating will go part of the popcorn meter. And then the critic rating, it's at 83%. Like I said earlier this week, that's about what I was thinking. Low 80s is where I was thinking it's going to sit. I still think it might get a little lower than that, honestly.
Really?
I do. I think it's going to hit around 80, 81%, I think, when all is said and done from the critics. I do. I think that's around where it'll be. And rightfully so.
I mean, it's still not, that's fair. It's just like, I don't know. But I get you.
Yeah. What are your thoughts over there?
I love the movie. I also, if I had to give it a numerical rating, I would say it's an 8 out of 10. And that's me trying to take my own biases out of it. I love the movie, and I want to say I loved it more than an 8 out of 10 if it makes sense. But if I had to rate it and I was actually analyzing it on all the things I would probably rank it on, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I think that you're probably right. I think that it's going to fall a bit. I think both numbers are going to fall a bit.
Yeah.
Because listen, some critics obviously aren't going to like it, and they're going to be super analytical more than any of us would be. And I think that I don't want to say it's divisive, because I don't think it is. Obviously, it's not with a 96%, but I think that 96%, number one, comes from a lot of fans that wanted to love it, that have seen it already. I mean, it technically just released regularly today. So
right.
All the people who are giving it 96%, I'm assuming, based on everything we know, seeing the Amazon, wanted to love it. There are going to be people that see it this weekend that aren't like us, that aren't movie diehards, that aren't comic book heads. And I think it might be a little bit too much for some of those people, like a guy who's 60 years old and just a movie guy, not really big on comic books. And I think it'll drop. However, I don't think it's going to drop a lot. I think it'll drop a couple points. I still think it'll be above 90.
Yeah, I mean, from the audience standpoint, absolutely will be above 90. Absolutely. I was thinking it was like earlier in the week. I thought it would be high 80s, but with it sticking above 95, even at this point, I think it's definitely going to be above 90 when all's said and done. Now, we've all seen it.
Yes.
I gave my out of theater review. I have a video up for that. It wasn't the greatest. I gotta do more of those to get better at it. You did one too, Derpy, didn't you?
Yes.
So did you guys did superhero cuts and you do did you guys
I
do
didn't do one. I don't think Stevie did an out of the theater review.
Okay.
He may have. I'm not sure.
Okay. So then give us your spoiler like no spoiler free thoughts on the movie.
For sure.
Like just go for it.
I think that James Gunn really delivered. I think a lot of people were concerned that James Gunn was going to be super silly and goofy, and I didn't really get that. Like maybe on certain parts, but it didn't feel that way. Right. It didn't feel like Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a fast-paced movie. It threw you right into the action. It was basically, nonstop, full throttle, with some more, plot-driven moments, sure, but those plot-driven moments even felt very fast. So it's a fast-paced movie, and I thought that it was very, like, if you're like me and you're a comic book fanatic and you love these sci-fi worlds and you love those, larger-than-life concepts, I think you're going to love this movie. And it felt like such an expansive DCU world that we were thrown into. There were so many secondary characters. None of them felt redundant at all. I couldn't name one character that I didn't think did a good job. I think that it probably was a 2 hour and 45-minute cut. And I think James Gunn was like, we need to make sure this is tighter because it's the first installment of the DCU. It's Superman. There's going to be a wide variety of audience, and we need to make sure most people like this movie. And in order to do that, we need to cut it down. And I think they delivered. I'm not even that big of a Superman guy. I'm really not. I'm more of a Batman, Green Lantern guy. I like him, but he's not like when I go to read comics, I'm not like looking to read. I love this movie so much. I'm so happy with it.
All right.
I don't think I can outbeat that, Supercuts. I don't think I can outbeat that.
Okay. Well, I still want to hear what you thought.
Yeah, Derpy, go for it. What did you think? I mean, tell me your thoughts on, because after you got out of the theater the other day, you gave me a call. And you gave me, just your quick thoughts on it. Essentially, go over that. What were your thoughts coming out of the film? You don't need to go as in depth, but what were your thoughts?
I mean, I can give you my thoughts on my X review, basically, if you want that.
That's fine.
Give me a second. I have tweeted a lot since the movie came out.
Me too.
Here we go. James Gunn manages to cook up a DC movie that both Marvel and DC fans have been waiting for since the first Iron Man back in 2008. It felt like a Saturday cartoon come to life. It's more than fantastic. It's super fantastic. David Cornsweet is Superman. But that's just my thoughts on X.
Yeah.
Overall, I was really entertained. I thought it was the best Superman film I've ever seen. I thought, and here's the crazy part, I thought Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult stole the show for me. And overall, then, David did a great job. Rachel did a great job as Lois. The background supporting characters were great. Mr. Terrific, Justice Gang, all that. I would say, if I wasn't being biased, I would have to agree with you. Is it Supercuts or?
I'm Comics Cuts, but our show is called Superhero Cuts.
Comics Cuts, okay. I would have to agree with you if I wasn't biased. I would say 8 out of 10, but when I first came out, I was saying 10 out of 10. So, but
I feel you.
it was the most. It felt like a long episode of Superman the Animated Series, and it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, when I came out of the movie, like I sat there, waited through the credits, and I thought about the movie, and the things that really stood out to me were, first off, David Cornsweet. I mean, he
Yes,
owned that role of Superman.
yes,
He owned that role of Superman, and like I could sit there and watch him as Superman for the next 10, 15 years. No
agreed.
problem. Like that is probably
A
one of the
lot.
best aspects of this film is just David Cornsweet. So that they got perfect on the money. Mr. Terrific, Edie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific,
He was awesome.
phenomenal. He stole almost every scene. Almost every scene he was in, he stole that scene. And to me, I'm kind of like, man, where's the Mr. Terrific TV show, movie? Like, give me something. I need more of Mr. Terrific now because he was
I'm just here to
perfect.
tick off Green Lantern.
Like he was perfect. And we could go down the list of the cast, but we know the cast as a whole, they were
Solid.
solid. Everybody was perfect in their role. The problem that I had, because this movie was good, it had heart, it had humor, it had heroics, as I always say. I always talk about that. It had all three. But where it starts to fall off is with the characters, and they don't have a lot to do. For instance, why is Cat Grant even in this movie? Why is Steve Lombard even in this movie? Why was Otis even in this movie? You can go down the list of a lot of these characters that they made a big deal about being cast or being put in this movie, and it's kind of like, why are they even there? I get having supporting characters and building the world is nice and everything,
Maybe
but you could have done that with a lot of what those characters did. You could have done with anybody. You didn't need to specifically make it those characters because you're sitting there thinking like, oh, you have a Cat Grant in there. Oh, maybe she's going to have an interesting arc. There was nothing there for them to do really. So, that was a little disappointing to me. When you take a look at Jimmy Olsen's story, you could definitely tell that they had more intended for him, but that it was shortened and it was taken down quite a bit. He had a decent amount to do. Like he actually had a reason to be there, unlike a lot of the other characters, but it just felt like it was, all right, he got this, and then here's 3 more scenes and then he's done. Even Lois Lane, I think Rachel Brosnahan was phenomenal in the role, but she didn't do much, and that was kind of the problem with this film. And it just felt like it was so rushed because of that. And it's weird when I say so rushed. And for the life of me, I can't remember what scene it was because I was sitting there in the theater and I'm watching it and I go, I'm bored right now. I literally thought to myself, I'm bored right now. But the movie is going at a fast pace. And for the life of me, I can't even remember the scene because it just was so insignificant. It was that boring for me. So when I see it tomorrow, it'll probably pop in my head again. Like, man, this is a boring scene. But you take out that scene, and if they could have let the movie breathe a little bit, added another 15, 20 minutes to it and let it breathe and maybe let some of these other characters do a little more, I think it would have really helped the movie. But that's not to say that it's a bad film. I think that it really establishes a new DC universe, like really, really well. Like I said, Cornsweet as Superman is fantastic. Everything at the Fortress of Solitude was great. Everything from the Superman robots to Crypto to everything with where he came from, all of that stuff was great. I loved that. But again, there's and I mean, it's a Superman movie, but there's maybe a little too much focus on Superman and not enough on the supporting characters. And that was a little disappointing for me. So again, I give that, like, everybody loves to give their ratings. I've never been a big rating person, like, 4 out of 5 or whatever it is. I've never been big on that, but if you were to say 1 out of 10, what do you give this? I would say probably an 8 out of 10. Like, I would say an 8 out of 10 because I did have a good time. The action is great. The fighting, the action sequences, the fighting and all that, it's a lot of fun. Seeing Superman be Superman, as people have said, these action scenes and a lot of these moments are very comic booky. I mean, it's a comic brought to life. It really is. It feels like Superman the Animated Series or Justice League Unlimited. It feels like that. The comedy fits whenever it's there. I didn't ever feel like, oh man, that's cringy or that doesn't work. The parts that people complain about that you're seeing online about like Hawk Girl, there's people complaining about Hawk Girl screeching and stuff. They're just being ridiculous. Like, that's comic accurate. It fits her character. It just feels weird because they're not used to that kind of stuff. They're not used to it because they've never had a comic book film like this before. So it's things like that. Like, if you can allow yourself to be immersed into this world and just go for it, I think you'll really enjoy it. But again, the problems I had were more story element wise, and I think editing is mostly what it was. So that's kind of where I sit with it.
I think that one of the things I always said about the DCU and what James Gunn is building is that James Gunn is a brilliant creator, and he understands that the DCU can't just be DC's version of what Marvel has built. And in order to do that, he knew that he was going to have to innovate, meaning he's going to have to create in ways that comic book movie fans and movie fans alike have never seen before. And I think that's what he did in terms of this movie being the most comic book movie ever. And I don't know if I would say it's the most comic book movie ever, but it's definitely up there. And I got the same kind of feeling almost like of the innovation from Infinity War, where it's like this just has that comic book universe in the movie in a way we don't really get treated to as often as we should be. And I think that's what James Gunn really delivered on. And it's a sign of what's to come from the DCU. I think that D-Man 7 made a great comment about like a lot of people that had issues with the movie are it seems like a lot of issues are with based on a lot of people's expectations. And a lot of people got what they expected. A lot of people didn't. But no matter what your expectations are, a lot of this movie is going to be a surprise for you. I think when you go back tomorrow, I think you're going to appreciate it a lot more. I will say, I did think that Wendell Pierce's role was probably cut down in the editing bay. Cat Grant's maybe. You know who did have a great story, though, was Jimmy Olsen and Eve. I loved Lex Luthor's girlfriend. She was great.
Spoilers.
There he is. Yeah, I guess it's kind of one. Everyone's threshold on what is and isn't a spoiler is different. So I apologize, but I don't think that's. But I won't touch on it anymore. I'll just say that girl was phenomenal, and when the Snyder cult was all ripping on her, being like the selfies were amazing. I loved it. She was just like that stupid girlfriend that didn't care, and it was just so like, what kind of girlfriend would you expect Lex Luthor to have? Come on.
What's going on, Stevie? How are you?
What's up, twin? How you feeling, bro?
What's up?
Dirt, what's popping, boys?
So the three of us just kind of gave our non-spoiler opinions and reviews of the movie. Give us your non-spoiler review of the film. How did you feel? And if you have a rating for it, give us your rating.
Yeah, so Scott, my second screening with a bunch of my friends. Fun fact, they all and most of my friends hated all of the trailers. It's funny. But they walked out saying it's a 9 out of 10. And right. One of them sits at it's a 10, which is crazy. I will say this. I think that as a Superman movie, I think this is perfect for the time. Like, for what it was needed to do, I think it did what it needed to do perfectly. I loved a lot of it. And there's nothing that I really hated. I think that David Cornsweet was the perfect casting for Superman. Nicholas Hoult was perfect for Lex. You can definitely tell a lot got taken out of the movie. I would love some type of, and I hate to say this word, but hopefully when the DVD drops, there's some like type of like director's cut, because I do feel like there's a lot of like Clark Kent stuff that was kind of yanked out. But
At least the Gunn cut.
Yeah, bro, like for real.
But director cuts are going to have a stigma for the end of time. Because
yeah. I shouldn't even said it, to be honest. Yeah. But no, the movie is.
They're doing their stupid hashtag tomorrow.
Right, but the movie is enjoyable. It's fast, and I like that it's fast. And the one thing that I like, the only critique I have is that it just felt too short. I mean, and that's not even a real thing to care about. And I just think it's so different. Like, I have some friends where I think they're going to hate it because like the way that Superman always was like, you know, it was always a slow burn. Even if you watch Smallville, or like there was always a slow burn to get to Superman, and with this, you're getting dropped just right into this insane freaking universe, you know. And for someone like me, where like, you know, James Gunn's like, you already know everything, you know, that's my kind of thing. So I loved it.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, that's the consensus with the audience, and again, a lot of people who've seen it at this point are fans. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's pretty much the fans have seen it. Some of the haters have. I mean, let's face it. We know haters are going to go out and see it. They have to. They have to be part of the conversation. They have to know what they're ragging on. So they went and saw it. The fans have seen it. Critics have seen it. Pundits have seen it. But I mean, when we get down to it, the real test is going to be to this weekend. The audience, the families, the kids, the grandmas, the moms, the dads. That's going to be the real test in seeing how they take to this movie. Because tomorrow, for instance, I'm taking my daughters and my fiance. We're gonna go see it tomorrow night. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they react to this movie and see how they grab onto it, because I think that's going to be more telling than what you think or what I think and things like that. Because I could sit here and say, yeah, this movie is going to make $150 million domestically this weekend, but if it doesn't land with those people, it's not going to do crap. But that's where it really comes down to. Let's see, in the chat here, we got Alan Emocap says, I'm glad that this movie is great. Yes. Glimmercast is here, says, evening, y'all. Hit that like button. Thank you, Glimmercast. Critic Chris says, I loved Miss Tessmacher as well. Patrick Ollinger says, can't wait to see the movie. I hope you get to see it soon. I think you said you're seeing it tomorrow or Saturday. I hope you see it soon. Let's see. Who else? Anybody else seen anything interesting here? Not really. Nothing else. Nothing else. Oh, that's kind of a spoilery thing, so I won't talk about that right now. Yeah. We do want to bring this up, guys, and I hate to say it, but box office isn't looking good right now. Yeah, it's only made $7.
Columbia.
Yeah.
$7 might be like 10,000 people going to see the movie out there, bro. Who knows?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I saw this pop up on Twitter a couple hours ago, and I just thought it was funny that someone brought it up. I was like, come on, this means nothing. We're not going to...
Hashtag the gun jammed.
Gun jammed.
Boy, I sent you another photo.
Oh, man. But
I'll say this, though, bro. It's like... So right now, I rate it an 8. I rate it an 8.5 out of 10, and all my friends thought that it was insane, right? That I would, rank it an 8. But it's like, even though I rank it an 8, I love the movie.
That's how I felt.
It's like there's obviously critiques that I have, but like this movie gave me feelings. Like, I had feelings for the movie.
Yes,
it made me almost cry. I mean, the movie is like, I love it. It's weird. The last time I felt like this way was when Black Panther 1 dropped, and that's what Superman feels like.
I've heard that.
Me, my friend, he asked me, he was like, how would you say this in like Marvel terms? And I said, It's like if Black Panther was not in, like if we did not see Black Panther at all in Civil War, and the first Marvel movie of all time was Black Panther, and you're just thrown into this Wakanda like universe. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's weird how much I love it, and I want to see it every day.
You just saw it.
You know what I can't wait to see is what Gotham City is going to look like in the DC.
Agreed.
Dude. Yo, this
Yeah.
picture. Oh my god, I didn't see Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
On him.
It's great. It's great.
Oh gosh.
Boy.
I am low key prepared to throw Man of Steel like away, dude. I'm never watching it again, bro. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
jeez. Oh, boy.
I'm never watching it again.
All right. So I think from a non-spoiler aspect, I think we've covered pretty much everything there. I mean, I'm going to encourage anybody who hasn't seen the movie. I encourage you to see it. Look, I mean, I think you got a pretty good feel across the board here. I've been very upfront that I was going to give my honest opinion on this film, and I think I have. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that it's the greatest movie ever. I came out and I said exactly how I feel. I think it's a good movie. It's a good time, and it has its issues. It does have its flaws, but I think it's still a fun time to go to the movies. I think it establishes the new DCU really, really well. There's some surprises in it, and it's a lot of fun, and I think you'll enjoy it. So go check it out. If you were on the fence, I think you're going to really enjoy yourself if you go check it out. If you're somebody that's plainly just sitting there like, yes, I'm going to hate this movie. Like, if you're somebody who's like, I don't want James Gunn running this, blah, 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 that, this and that, you're not going to like it. You're just going in to find reasons to hate it, and you're just going to hate it. Plain and simple. But I think regardless, if you're somebody who's like, hey, I want to have some fun, I want to have a good time in the movies, once again, I think you'll have a lot of fun here. The one thing I didn't think anybody mentioned here, I don't remember anybody mentioning, is the special effects. The special effects were solid. I'm not going to sit there and say they weren't phenomenal or that they were phenomenal, but they were really, really solid. I think the kaiju looked great. I think the flying scenes were really good looking. There was a couple moments where I was like, it could have been a little better. Crypto looked great. I mean, everything looked really solid from that regard. How about the score? Did anybody have any issues with the score?
I did.
No.
I 100% did. So when they first launched the score, you remember that Monday, and they put out the score, and then like that Wednesday or Thursday, they put out like the first sneak peek or trailer or whatever they actually called it. So I loved that score, and I don't even know if I heard it once. I thought it sounded so alien, and like it was like the whistle, and all I heard was a rehash of the iconic John Williams score, which when it was in the guitar, like that was cool, but that was only like one or two times. And I really wanted to hear more of that whistle score that I thought sounded much more alien-like, and I was let down by that.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to the score, I feel the same way. I don't think it was overly special in any way. I've listened to a couple of the tracks that they released online, and it's all right. In context of the movie, there was nothing great about it, nothing that's very memorable. The Lois, I think it's the Lois and Superman theme, I don't know what it's called exactly. That one is probably the most memorable piece of music from the movie. And there are a couple needle drops in the film, which is a James Gunn. I mean, that's his trope. The one I'm fine with, and it's probably not the one that everybody else is fine with. I think everybody else is probably fine with the other one more than this one. And we'll get into that in the spoiler talk. But yeah, there's a couple needle drops in it as well. But the score overall, I just felt was, I'd say, like, if we're on a grading scale of like A, B, C, D, E, I'd probably say it's probably like a D plus, maybe a C. It's not great. It's nothing special. It's forgettable, and that's disappointing. I mean, when you sit here and think of the great scores that we've had in superhero films over the years, specifically Superman films. It's just a little disappointing is all.
Yeah, I also didn't like where the music was placed. And I'm not going to get into spoilers, but like there will be certain times where it's mad quiet and then the music just comes on at a really weird time. And it's like this music could have been playing during this whole, conversation, and then it just randomly comes on, at a certain random time. But with the VFX, the way that Superman's cape is shown when he's doing things, just like it blew my mind. And the suit throughout the movie, oh my gosh, man! Like there were some there's only one angle that I did not like, where the suit kind of looked weird. But other than that, bro, the suit just looked so amazing in movement. And there's just something about that yellow S on the cape, man. It does it to me every time. I don't know why, but like, yeah.
I used to always say it looked like a Halloween costume with the S on the cape, but I got used to it with this iteration. I did get used to it. I'm not going to say I love it, but I do appreciate it now.
I'm not so much for the yellow S on the cape. I don't like the trunks. I think they're underwear over pants. I thought they looked that way, especially when he was walking on the beach. Like, that scene when, you could see the trunks separated from the pant, and it was literally underwear over pants. So I had a problem with that. I didn't like the strap on the back of the collar. I thought that looked silly. I didn't like the boots. I gotta say, the only really thing I like on the suit was I love the Kingdom Come inspired logo, and I love the collar, but I don't like that the collar was sticking out, and I thought the cape on the back like hung too low from his neck, and you saw too much blue on the back of his neck where his cape should have covered that. And I thought those were a couple of big missteps, and I was kind of surprised to see so many missteps on the suit. And listen, I'm usually not that critical of the suit. I think if the suit is good enough, it's whatever. But those are my issues I have with it.
Yeah,
I feel you.
So you guys ready for the spoiler talk?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, everyone who's in the chat, I am warning you right now. We are talking spoilers for the movie starting right 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Spoiler talk starts now. So if you're in here, I apologize, but you only have yourself to blame.
The dog dies.
Can I go first?
All right, Derpy, you can go first, my man.
I can't believe Henry Cavill is Ultraman.
Dude, for a second, I thought it was. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. For a second, I thought
they do look alike.
It's because Corn Sweat does have that look of Cavill a little bit. Yes, yeah, I get it.
I had to bring that one out of the.
So, what was your biggest? Was there something that surprised you the most in the movie that was just like, holy crap, I can't believe they did this or they did that?
Wait, are you asking us or
anybody, all of you?
Anybody.
My bad.
I was surprised they didn't take, and I know James Gunn said he wasn't going to do it, but I was surprised we didn't see Batman in the movie. I thought
I really thought they would have at least alluded to him in some way, whether it was like a newspaper article or something. Like they should have alluded to the grander DC universe in some way with that. Wasn't there on the news report, there was flooding in Gotham or something like that they had, but besides that, like there wasn't really much.
Flooding in Gotham?
Flooding in Gotham.
Hey.
I'll propagate this being put. Okay, I'm about to make a TikTok.
Water. Mr. Freeze isn't a seasonal villain.
Yeah. Dude, I loved everything with the Fortress of Solitude was perfect for me personally. Everything with the fortress was to the T, just amazing. Also, why did Supergirl have better boots than David Cornsweat's Supergirl? Why? Sorry, just had to put that out there. Crypto was also hilarious. Dude, I didn't know that Crypto was going to crash out on Lex like that. That was hilarious.
That was hilarious. It just came out of nowhere. I did not expect that to happen.
That was
Yeah.
But that was your typical James Gunn little thing there, because it's in the middle of Lex about to do a monologue and then boom.
Wait, I have a
It's
question.
like, it was hilarious. Lex stole the show, not from me.
I would agree. Did they take him to Bellevue?
That's what they said. Yeah, when they were putting him in the
That's what I
the
thought.
Humvee, they were like, "Oh, you're going to Bell Reed."
That's an interesting setup.
I love
For the
Lex. I
DCU.
almost wanted to root for Lex.
Dude, I mean, he was fly. I mean, and when he shot that guy in the head in the pocket, that was a
jeez.
shocker.
Dude,
I couldn't believe they went that far with it. I was like, "What? They actually did that?"
That was surprising. I kind of felt like they were going to do. I didn't think once I saw the gun and I realized what was going on, I was like, they can't show Lex pull back. If they're going to put him in the position, you need him to be savage. So I knew they were going to do it. But I got to say, the pocket universe thing, that was my favorite part of the whole movie. I loved it. That, bro, that was like the most comic booky thing to me in the movie. And I just love the sci-fi world of comics, and they really did it. Metamorpho was great.
Yeah.
Guy Gardner was amazing.
Mr. Terrific too, bro. He was fun too.
They
He was
finally
so
did
fun.
him justice from nerfing him into CW.
Well, I will say the Mr. Terrific scene at the encampment was really cool, but I hate the way they shot it. I hate how they shot it from Lois's perspective, because to me, it kind of took away from like all of the coolness that was going on at that moment. But it was a really cool scene. I just kind of was like, first off, Lois, why is she's so shocked and amazed at this? Because one, metahumans have been around for 300 years, so like you should have seen this kind of stuff before
as a journalist,
especially as a journalist. Two, you're Lois freaking Lane, Pulitzer Prize winning journalist that probably covers this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Three, you're dating Superman. Why is it shocking you?
That's also the other weird thing too. Was like I was shocked that Superman never gave her an interview. Like I thought that she would have, and I guess that's how they switched up, because usually Lois is the one that is like the successful journalist. And it felt like the roles were like a little swish in that. But that was also very, very, very interesting. But yeah, bro, the pocket universe stuff was, bro, Jerry, you're right. It was awesome. But I want to say this: the Hall of Justice, that shot when you first see it.
We all knew it was going to be there. Come on, they were shooting in Cleveland, which is like 100 miles away from what's it called? But
All Girl. I wasn't a fan of her until the end when she dropped and killed that. She was like, "I'm not Superman," and then she dropped him. I thought that was cool, but she was a little underwhelming. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
And her screaming all the time was kind of annoying.
I didn't think that Isabella Merced was so great. I think she's overrated as an actress. I really do, and I think they made her look stupid with the mask because her eye holes are so big. And I think maybe I noticed this, but I always noticed that there's an issue with women's headgear because it's size. Most headgear is like one size fits all, and there's not a lot of sizes. And
he's going there.
It's too big. Hat. If you ever notice when a girl wears a hat, it's always over their eyes because it's too big for their head. And I think that the eye holes and the eye holes, like they should have been. You shouldn't see her eyebrow because then it looked like this. It was like squeezing her face together, and she just looked goofy, and she sounded goofy. I did not. She was like the one character I was like, get her out of here.
I didn't mind her. I thought she did pretty well. I liked her fighting style that we saw. I'm looking forward to seeing more from Hawkgirl. I am, because I think that she can be an interesting character.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't mind it, and I think she didn't scream that much. I think it was like 3 times.
No, but it's just the sound itself was kind of annoying. It was like, girl. I'm like, all right, girl.
You didn't need to hear it again.
Yeah, and by the way, I am a Hawkman, Hawkgirl. That's my jam. I and look, Shira Hall is my Hawk girl because that's what I grew up on that. Kendra is not my favorite, but that's really fine. And I do think that they can make her like a great character. Like, I do. I just, but I'm telling you, I think there was more footage with her in it. I really do. Because I just feel like we didn't get to see enough of it. But another thing that was super wild, bro, was like when he fought the hammer of was it Baravia? The hammer of Baravia, dude, that armor looked amazing VFX wise. Oh my goodness, the gold that was shining, dude. They there are certain shots, bro. They cooked, bro. Question: did you guys like the flying? I thought the flying was amazing.
I thought it was the best part too.
And every time he flew, you heard that boom. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, you guys know I swear by Dolby Cinema and Dolby Atmos, but I thought like the special effects from Dolby Cinema were incredible. I had no complaints.
Yeah.
Peter Poole asks, Iron Man 1 or Superman?
They're very different. Like I would say Iron Man 1, but I'm also biased. Iron Man 1 was like such a big deal for me. I'm a bigger Iron Man fan than I am Superman. But if I'm removing my bias, like I think some people would probably say Superman. I think some people would probably say Iron Man 1. But you also have to understand they're very different, and the world building in them is very different because Iron Man's world is very different than Superman's world. Iron Man is an entrepreneur and arms dealer who is dealing with much different types of conflict than Superman does in Metropolis. So I think it's really tough to compare the two.
I would agree.
I mean, and plus, and he's right. Iron Man 1 and Superman, I don't even want to compare them because Marvel slow cooked to the crazy infinity spectacle. I mean, that was what Iron Man was, the start of that, of that thing. But Superman, we're 3 years in, baby. We are actually, we are 300 years in. And there's and Jerry says all the time that there's history behind this. 300 years of history, and you don't know what the heck has happened. So I think that the DCU is in a whole different position than what the MCU was in. And I think that the DCU is going to build out in a whole entirely different way than the MCU is. And that's what Superman really showed me, because I was not trying to get like an MCU Junior type of thing. And what Superman showed me is that James Gunn is really going to build this from a whole different type of lens and perspective. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I wouldn't even compare these because, yeah.
Because they're a bunch of chickens. Superman, come on.
I mean, I will say this: Iron Man is a better movie, but Superman's way more fun than Iron Man, in my opinion.
Fair take.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it. I think Superman's more fun.
Yeah.
Iron Man is the better made film.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
That's like the perfect way to put it.
Yeah. Hunter Iggy asks, when do we think we'll get the Watchtower in the DCU? There's really we just got the Hall of Justice, and I'm gonna say this: do we need it? I don't think we'll need the Watchtower.
What?
I would love the Watchtower, but I don't think Gunn's gonna go in that direction.
That's the thing. I don't think unless they do something like where they get the Watchtower years down the line and give like the Teen Titans or the Young Justice the hall, do something like that. I don't know. I don't see them doing it. Maybe, I don't know.
So my thought.
But we're so early in. That's all. It's just so hard to tell.
So the question also is because the way that I view it is, I mean, it's pretty much spoken for that Bruce Wayne is going to end up buying the Hall. I think that's going to happen. But the question that I would have for James Gunn if I was to talk to him is there's no way these characters from the Justice Gang are going to be in the first Justice League movie. That's at least my opinion. There's no way that you're having Guy Gardner. No, because I mean, we're getting Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. I don't think Supergirl is going to be in the first Justice League movie.
I don't know about
that lantern show is rumored to be like
I don't
mature.
think so, bro. I just don't know. So the question is that like I think the Hall of Justice is going to show us like what the first era of Justice League is going to be, but I think the second era, following whatever this 5 to whatever your plan is, that's when you do like the Watchtower when it becomes a global thing, and I think that would be fire, bro.
I think it would be a major misstep to not do the Watchtower. I mean, look at the type of world that James Gunn wants to have in the DCU. And like, I'm sorry, but the Watchtower just it's such a cooler spectacle thing. It's a building they have in space, and it's the coolest looking building ever. And there's so much history from it. Yeah, there's history from the Hall of Justice too. But I just think it would be an L move to not.
I just think that from the standpoint, like you're gonna have the Hall of Justice. You introduce the Hall of Justice in one movie, you gotta have it stick around for a while. You can't just get rid of it so quickly. I just think like I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll see. Like I said, we're so early in this. It's kind of like let's see where it goes with the Hall of Justice before we get to the Watchtower, maybe. Josh here says, crazy how the trailers and marketing wasn't doing it for him or for me, But I watched the film a couple hours ago and really loved the movie. Mr. Terrific was incredible.
Yo, Josh, that is a great point. And after seeing it again, I'm going to say this. The marketing, I don't think did Superman a favor until the end. Until the last run that it had, I don't think the marketing, like, I think the shots were cool, but like the movie is way cooler than what the marketing made it seem like. That's at least just my opinion.
I agree. I just think that it's hard to argue with the marketing when you look at the level of hype this movie has. And when you think about it, to put it in perspective, think about what's going on with Fantastic Four right now and how much marketing and hype they need to build, because that release is 2 weeks away. And it feels like Marvel really dropped the ball because the wave of Superman hype this week is insane. And I'm a Fantastic Four guy. Like, I always try to take a step back from my bias, but Fantastic Four are like one of my top favorites. I'm obsessed. I read all their comics and, let's call a spade a spade.
Andre Oliveira asks, thoughts on Dean Cain's opinion over the immigrant Superman? First off, I don't think he watched the movie. Secondly, I think he's just going off of what other people are saying on the internet.
And what do you say?
So you heard about the James Gunn stuff where he talked about this being an immigrant story and stuff like that. And, obviously Fox News made it political because of what's going on in the country. Yeah. So Dean Cain then kind of ran with that. And he's saying, that he's worried about the James Gunn making the movie too political and yada yada yada, that whole thing. And,
Gotcha.
It's just ridiculous. Like, again, go watch the movie before you make a comment like that. Exactly. When all this stuff came out the other day, there's a reason why I didn't really speak on it, because I didn't see the movie, so I can't speak on it. It's like I watched the movie. There's no woke in it. There's no woke. There's no real political agenda in it. Yes, there's a backdrop of a country invading another country. Yes, there is. You can correlate that to Ukraine and Russia. You can correlate that to Israel and Palestine if you want. Sure, go for it if you want to, but that's not what's going on in that movie at all. The heart of that movie is what's going on with Superman. So then you have that. So then they look at if he's an immigrant, obviously. Well, no, because it's not about him being this immigrant. It's about him accepting his place in this world, himself accepting his own self in this world. It's not about everybody else accepting him. And that's what the heart of the story is. But nobody watched the movie, so nobody knows what the hell's going on. And that's what pisses me off. So.
And Slav, that is also the other thing that I loved, is that a lot of the stuff where I think would have been like plot holy, they tied it all to Lex and his hate for Superman. You know what I mean? Because I loved how Lex, how he was just like, yo, like, I just caused Baravia just because I knew that you were going to like get involved. I mean,
Right.
I was laughing, but it was such a
Yeah.
Lex thing to say, you know, like he's like, I don't care. I'm just using this to use
such a
you as a
savage.
freaking ploy, you know, and this and like, and the thing that I freaking love about this movie is like, you know, is that the government is like, you know, Superman is like they felt like Superman needed regulation, you know, like they felt like Superman needed some type of like oversight because
What's the government? They
I feel
regulate
like they were like, we see Superman as our hero, right? But like the thing that's being told is like Superman is the hero of the freaking world, you know, and but Superman also is the guy that doesn't know all of the answers, and that's is like the most human thing about him. And
You know-
he says it. It's beautiful.
I wish that James Gunn didn't make the comment he did about politics, and I wish
Same.
Dean Cain didn't, because the problem is that now you're going to have people on both sides of the aisle that are going to say, I see my politics echoed in the movie. And like, oh, well, this is about kindness. So if you don't agree, like, screw you. It's like, well, that's not kind. And we don't need a movie to taunt each other over whose politics is being echoed in the movie or not. It's a fictional world. It's a movie. And it is about kindness and doing right. And like, you know, and I think that everyone could watch this movie and enjoy it. And it just sucks that we live in a time that people are going to see this movie
Yes.
and say, I see my political agenda in this movie, so screw you in one way or another. And it's just horrible.
Yeah. Did anybody else get worried whenever they heard the little bit where they thought Lex Luthor was trying to get land and become a king? Was it that they were just going to make him another real estate tycoon like they did with the old Lex Luthor and the Reeve and the Superman Returns? I got a little scared there. I was like, oh, don't do it, James Gunn. Don't do it.
I didn't think they were going to go through with it. Just because I just didn't see I don't think James Gunn wanted to tell us whether Lex Luthor is going to be the villain in the next one. And I think that if you gave Lex Luthor something like that and a big loose end, I think it would have been, you know, a story that needed to be threaded. And I don't think he wanted to do that.
Yeah. The other reason why I wasn't too scared is because in the first time that we see Lex, he's doing two things at the same time. Number one, he's telling all the moves F1, A2, you know what I mean, to the guy to Superman. But you also see that he's also handling Baravia business at the same time. So I think that if he was to make his Luthor utopia world, which the land could still be used for something because it's Lex, you know, but I think that Lex would have used it just as more testing ground to try to like piss off Superman. You know, I mean, I just think that the utopia was like was just a ploy. I mean, he pretty much said it like, bro, I'm only doing this to like so I can hurt you. You know,
Yeah.
like there was no silver line, there was no blur with him. He was like, yeah, I just hate you. So yeah,
Lex was perfect. I got to tell you, like, I was grinning for a lot of that movie, and most of the time I was grinning was when Lex was on the screen. I just loved. He was so savage. Like he looked so cool, man. Oh, Nicholas Hoult as Lex is got to be one of my favorite villains ever.
Bro, the funniest scene, and by the way, Jimmy Olsen, bro. Oh my gosh, dude. Yo, him is like the Mac Daddy of the movie is funny. And the fact that Lex's girlfriend, his ex, whatever, is like obsessed with him. Oh my gosh. And she said, Can we meet? Can we meet? And he's just like, oh my God.
I want to see more of that action. And like, she was gorgeous. And that's how you know he was really a Mac, because
he got riz, bro. It's funny.
And then so hot, and he's just like, get away from me.
Yeah. No, bro. Yo, the funniest was when Lex broke his coffee cup. He said, pick it up. And then they picked it up, and he dropped another one. So stupid. So funny.
Patrick Ollinger says, do you think we'll get a Shazam reboot? I think it's possible, but I don't think it's on the like forefront of their plans. But
As
I think
it's not Zachary Levi, man. I can't stand.
All right. I want to talk about
Sorry.
one of the controversial aspects of the movie here. Jay Caselli says, making Jor-El and Lara evil and wanting Clark to conquer. He says, I was surprised they did that change. Now, this is something that a lot of people are kind of shocked about. Now, first off, this has been explored no less than 2 times in Superman lore in the past. One in My Adventures with Superman, which is an animated show that's just came out over the last couple years, and another time briefly, very loosely, briefly in Smallville. It was explored. But people were kind of upset about this, that it's Superman was actually sent to Earth to conquer it. Now, let's not forget, and I'm going to bring this up in a way, Man of Steel, in Man of Steel, the Kryptonians were conquerors. All right, they did go planet to planet and conquer planets and take their resources and things. Now, when they sent Superman, when Jor-El sent Superman, that wasn't the idea for Superman, obviously, in that movie. But let's not forget, this isn't something that's like brand new and earth shattering when it comes to Kryptonians and things like that. But I think that this is not going to be real. I don't. Because you had the engineer who was, messing with the computer, says, I found the rest of this, the message. I think I can piece it together. And then you don't see the engineer piece it together and then and understand what the message says because it's in Kryptonian. We don't hear it again later until it's whatever Lex does with it. And then there's like, all these people have authenticated it. What people? And I know Mr. Terrific's like, oh, I know these people. They wouldn't just authenticate anything. Well, we still don't know what people authenticated it. And that doesn't mean that you have Lex, who is a tech billionaire, who has the engineer on his side that can't create something that can be completely authenticated also. So while I think like, hey, I get that this idea is crazy. I'm not against it because we've seen it before, and I think it's an interesting dynamic. But I also think that James Gunn knows what he's doing. And it was an interesting story point here, and I think it's a plot point to further the story of Superman and his connection to Krypton and his birth parents that he will learn down the line that isn't actually true, and it'll kind of alleviate him later down the line. That's just what I think.
My concerns around this, and it's the same thing how I feel about Supergirl being an alcoholic. First of all, you have to understand where I come from on comic accuracy. I think comic accuracy is important. I think you could get away with more things if the character isn't as popular and there are lesser people that have ties to that comic book lore. So Superman not being my number one favorite character, and neither is Supergirl.
Then leave. Why are you here? Why?
I still like Superman, but I don't. So my point is, I don't mind these changes. However, even if it's something that they're gonna plot thread over the next one or two movies, Superman movies, does it implicate that James Gunn isn't always going to be comic accurate, and he is going to make changes on the lore in ways like this where he sees fit? If he's willing to do it with Superman and Supergirl, who's to say he's not going to change something big around that, like with Batman, who is my favorite DC character? And that's an implication I have a problem with.
Yeah. I saw this as a possible focus for Superman 2, and David Cornswell said that he's in talks for a second one.
He's under contract.
They're doing a multi-movie deal.
Yeah. And so what I gathered from it was that this movie was definitely to secrete Superman, the human understanding hero. You know what I mean? Like, and the end of the movie where he's like, show me my parents, and we see his parents from Smallville is the actual proof of that. Now that is out of the way, I think we're going to dive into some really interesting things. Bring the Bottle City, please. I've been waiting to see that in live action for a long time. Anyways, but I think that we are going to dive into Krypton and his parents, and I think we're going to learn a lot more, because there's no way that Superman isn't going to take a look into this and find the actual truth. And that's where I think the next movie could be out. I would love to see space exploration and him really finding stuff about his home planet. But I also think that Supergirl is going to be a window into that cosmic space exploration, type of jam that's going on. And I wonder if I hope that Kara and um and Clark get to have a conversation about that, you know. And when she first came in the scene, I thought that we were going to hear her perspective on it, but she was drunk, so obviously, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I wonder if some of that's going to be answered in Supergirl too, because I mean, she also got sent. So, and I'm more than sure she doesn't think that it's like that. So I'm not sure. We have to see what happens in the future.
And that's partially why I believe what I believe, because she's in the picture as well, and she would know that, and they would have known, like, hey, he's here to conquer, and she would have been sent to conquer as well, you know. So that's partially why I believe what I believe, that it's not true, and that's going to be a plot point further down the line. Derpy, you've been really quiet. What do you think? No?
Sorry. I was unmuting my mic. I was just gonna say I've been vibing to the song, the ending song, 24/7 ever since I got out of the theater. Punk rocker.
What's it called?
Punk rocker.
Punk rocker.
by
Yeah.
Teddy
Yeah.
Bear.
It's funny that you bring that up, because that's the needle drop that I actually really liked in the movie. That one there at the end of the film. The one during Mr. Terrific's shenanigans, I didn't like that needle drop. I didn't. It's fine. It's whatever, because it's a James Gunn thing. But it was a little distracting for me at that moment. But the one at the end of the movie, I think, was perfect. I think that needle drop was absolutely perfect at the end. But the one in the middle of the movie, I was like, yeah, whatever.
James Gunn's usually amazing with the music too.
Yeah.
But a lot of James Gunn's music, and at least from what I've seen from Guardians and Suicide Squad, and I thought that, you know, with Matt Reeves, right, like the Batman, something in the way was stuck in my brain for 20,000 weeks, and in the gym it kept being played every day, and so I thought that James Gunn was going to use an actual song to kind of tie to it, kind of like what he's done with, Guardians of the Galaxy with Come and Get Your Love, and stuff like that. And I really think he didn't do that so people didn't say it was a Guardian Superman, and I feel like maybe he went his try at doing, regular scores and stuff, but we need better scores going forward. But hey, man, I mean, as I said, it doesn't really bother me. It's more of the placement. Because don't you guys know the scene where Lois and Clark are talking after he crashes out on Lex about his dog, and then you see Guy Gardner and them fighting in the background, and you see him using a bat to hit the thing. But when him and Lois are talking, it's quiet, and then the music just comes on, and the music feels like it's Smallville, CW farm music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't match the intensity that was happening in that moment,
Yeah. Speaking of that, what did you guys think of that whole thing? Because let's not forget that. I want to pull this up. Hold on a second before I. Sorry, Derpy, I'm sending you something, but it's just because I need to do it this way because it's easier. What did you think of this in the movie? This scene in the movie?
My theater was laughing.
So the whole speculation on this for a year. What is that thing in the background? What is it? Why is Superman just sitting there putting on his boots? Why isn't he going to help and fight? Why would he just sit there while the city is being destroyed? What is going on? For a year, people were complaining about it. And he just sits there and talks to Lois, and they kiss, and she says, I love you. And then he flies away. And then we don't see anything. We don't see him battle that at all. We just, from a distance, see the Justice Gang battle it. Are you upset about that? Do you think it was just, it's funny, it's all right? What?
My theater was laughing.
It didn't really bother me.
I thought it was funny how he was like, oh, they got it, and I thought that was cool. I didn't find that I had an issue with it. But I noticed a lot of people, and Stevie said this to me the other day too, have an issue that this was the first issue of the suit, and they think that was a major misstep.
Yeah. Because I mean, the scene itself made me feel like the movie was telling me the show goes on no matter if Superman's here or not. There's still going to be danger, and that because it's a DCU, like there's heroes that are always going to show up. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much how it was throughout the whole entire file. You know what I mean?
Thank you. And that's kind of what I was getting to, Stevie. That's exactly what, because I've been saying this for months and months and months, that this movie has established something that has been a complaint with so many other superhero movies is, hey, if there's, something going on, if there's destruction going on somewhere, why is it that we just see Iron Man there? Why don't we ever see Iron Man and Captain America in an Iron Man movie? Like, why is Captain America not showing up whenever it's, going on? Or why aren't we seeing the other Avengers, whatever? This is showing us that, hey, Superman knows, he can see the Justice Gang are handling it. And if they needed him, he would know it and he would go and help. But they don't need him. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to do my own thing and I'll handle what I need to do. But same goes when he was fighting the Kaiju. He's fighting the Kaiju, and guess what? The Justice Gang showed up. Like, that is one of the things I loved about this movie, is that little aspect of it there. That's the world building that I talked about in my review. Is it really builds and adds something different that we have never seen in superhero films before, and that's what I liked.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this whole lived-in universe that's pre-existent. Like, they could do something and reference a story, and that story could be received really well by fans. And James Gunn could be like, you know what? We're going to do a movie of what happened 10 years ago. Like, they could do so much with that.
Agreed. Yeah, there's just so much history, bro, that they can just go down. But I love that idea that, like, that the Justice Gang is going to show up because Superman's not there. Same thing with with the ending. Superman wasn't able to go to, Baravia. He just couldn't. Like, the little fabric of like reality was being shattered, right? But he called on his guys. He called up Guy, he showed up.
Sean says if the message was faked, it would undermine the ending of the film with Soups in the chair watching the home videos. It actually wouldn't. Actually, it would be a little poetic because it was Lex then who is really the one who showed and made Superman realize who he is. And his greatest villain is really the one that is the reason why Superman Clark realizes his place in this world. So no, it's more poetic than anything. It's more on the nose and more, I think, comic booky than it would be what were you saying, undermined. I think personally, that would be a lot more interesting too. If it's Lex was trying to utilize this message to ruin Superman, but in turn it made him a better person, a better human, a better hero to this world. I think that would be better.
100%. And I also think that this thing, because like there's an animated movie with it's with Superman where like basically it's when he first meets Supergirl, and she's like she doesn't know what she's doing, but then Superman comes to her and he's talking to her in a Kryptonian language. I think a situation like this is going to force Superman to dive more into where he's from, to dive more into his culture, because the one thing that I do want to see from Superman, and I do love that, like the way that James Gunn showed us this Superman, there's definitely so much room for growth. I hope that Superman is very well versed in his Kryptonian heritage. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Superman 2, that's what I want to see him talking in his Kryptonian, language. I want to see him talking Spanish and talking, because Superman can go anywhere he wants and fit in anywhere he wants. You know what I mean? So I hope that we get to see like a more well-versed, more experienced, Superman. And I think that's just going to come with time, So, Corn Sweat's going, I'm telling you, bro, like we think he's great now. Imagine the growth that he's going to have in the next 5 to 6 years.
Great point.
It could be, it could be something, very, very special.
I also love that, like, we didn't really see David Cornsweet in much before this. There's a couple shows that you may have seen him in, but I like that they're going for lesser known talent for big roles. And I'm so over, and if you watch me and Stevie, like, I hate Fancast. And one of the things I hate about Fancast, especially lately, is it feels like on Twitter, we're all in this big club and all we do is watch IP movies. Not that that's true, but it's like the only fan cast you hear is someone that's been in a big IP movie, and it's never someone who's a lesser known, like a David Corenswet. And I think someone actually did fan cast David Corenswet, but those aren't the ones you always see that get popular. So I want fans to see this movie and have faith in James Gunn casting these roles.
Thanks.
Yeah. Now, we saw Justin. We've alluded to. We've talked about it a little bit. We talked about Supergirl. Millie Alcock does show up. Very brief scene. We do see her, just a little bit of her costume, and I just want to let everybody know. I called that months ago, months and months ago, that this would be the first look at the Supergirl costume would be in this movie. But we did get a glimpse of her in her Supergirl costume here. What did you think of the portrayal? I know that you were, Stevie, I think it was you, or no, Jerry, was it you? One of you were saying we're upset about her being drunk, but
the alcoholic thing, just because it's not comic accurate. I don't actually care about her. I just think the implications of comic accuracy matter.
So we don't know the story behind it, obviously. I have a feeling that we're obviously going to understand this come her film next year and why she's going to bars and getting drunk. I know a lot of people are like, there's no accuracy with the story because Kryptonians can't get drunk. Well, they created a reason. They made the reason in the movie, like, hey, with the yellow sun we can't get drunk, but in the red sun we can. Okay, whatever. I get it. Like, suspend your disbelief, people. Move forward. Like I say, give the filmmakers, the artists, the creatives a little leeway to adjust and adapt the story to fit their creative ways. It's okay. Like, if we never allowed that, Superman would still be able to jump over tall buildings and only be as fast as a speeding bullet, and only as strong as a locomotive. If we don't allow things to adapt and change over time and let these artists to do different things, then we would never get new things and things would never be as cool as they are now. Not saying that everything that changes is cool or it works, but you will never know unless you try. So for in regards to this, I think we have to see where it goes. I think Millie Alcock is going to be perfect. I think she looked great as Supergirl in that very short scene, and it was hilarious again with Crypto. Mm-hmm. But in all the behind the scenes stuff we saw with Supergirl, you know what was missing? Crypto.
Yeah, right.
I'm a little worried, guys. I'm a little worried.
Yeah, dude. I also want to say with Supergirl, I'm not really holding on to what she is in this movie because it's a different director. So with the MCU, right? And I'm just using this because that's the only other consistent universe we have, right? Only consistent universe, right? Black Panther and Civil War is a totally different T'Challa from the Black Panther 1 file. You know what I'm saying? So you could see this version of her now, and it could be a whole different situation. It could be a time jump. We don't know. We don't really know the actual details of Supergirl whatsoever. So I'm not really holding on to what they're doing here because that could be one scene and then she could be this party girl and then something could happen that could change the whole entire story. You know what I'm saying? So I thought it was fun. She's like a little. She's a young girl who's out and partying. I thought it was funny, and how she called him the freaking B word walking out. And he's just like, okay, he was like, thanks for that compliment. I thought it was funny, but I don't really think it's going to affect the Supergirl movie because and isn't Tom King? He's on that also, right?
Yeah, he helped.
Yeah. Did you both read A Woman of Tomorrow?
I haven't.
You haven't? Well, that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yeah. Grab it on your Kindle or your Apple Books or whatever you have. I know you love your digital comics there, Jerry. So grab it.
No, I actually checked because I didn't check the actual comic, but I checked ChatGPT because I had heard people talking about this, and maybe someone could correct me if they've read it. But I find, as a big comic guy myself, a lot of times people don't actually read the comic and they read what someone else said, and it's not always accurate. So ChatGPT is usually pretty good. And it said that she's not depicted as an alcoholic in a clinical sense. The story is a one-off arc of emotional breakdown, not a chronic addiction portrayal.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically, right. So basically,
Drinking and being an alcoholic.
Yeah, so basically, in the very first issue, right? She goes to a planet with a red sun to get lit to celebrate her 21st because she wanted to learn how it felt to like celebrate it normally. You know what I mean? So like even if she drunk here, I don't even think that classifies her as alcoholic. You know, like it maybe that's her coming back from her 21st birthday getting lit. I'm not necessarily sure, but I don't really think she gave alcoholic vibes.
No,
personally, it's just like to me, it gave reckless young person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As a recovering addict, I can tell you, someone being drunk by themselves at their home in the middle of the day is alcoholic vibes.
Sean O'Rourke says, I would love to see another director do a sequel with Corn Sweat. I don't think Gunn allowed him to act to his full potential. I disagree. I think he did. I think he allowed Corn Sweat to do a great job. I think Corn Sweat was excellent, but I do think that whoever directs the next Superman, I don't think it should be James Gunn. I think they should allow somebody else to do the next Superman. Also write it. I think there should be another writer because I'd love to see them go in a different direction with it. Like I said, it wasn't my favorite movie. Like I enjoyed it. I had a good time, but it's not my favorite Superman movie. It's not my favorite superhero movie. So I'd like to see them do something else. Like if I would have come out of this and said 10 out of 10, great movie, greatest superhero movie ever, I would be like, screw that. No, I want James Gunn doing it again. But hey, James Gunn did it. It's I think a really, really great start to the DCU. Let James Gunn continue doing what he's doing. Let's see what he does over here. Let somebody else do the sequel if they have a sequel in mind. That's what I say.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Would the movie have been better if, and please don't take this as I'm calling Supergirl a female dog, because I'm not, okay, guys. But like that sounded terrible. But would the movie have been better if the role that Crypto played, Supergirl played in the movie?
No, I think it would have been too much, and you can't. If it was Supergirl, it would have taken too much spotlight and bandwidth away from Superman.
That's fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
Yep. I just saw someone saying it on Reddit, and they were like, if Supergirl was in his spot, the movie would have been a better one. I just want to hear you guys' perspective.
It's the first movie for the DCU, so like I think it had to be a solo excursion.
Oh yeah. And by the way, James Gunn is definitely doing Superman 2.
Yeah,
Watcher says, I absolutely disagree. Gunn should keep directing Superman to be consistent, and Gunn should continue. 100%. See, the only reason why I don't think he should, the big reason why I don't think he should is, one, he's the co-CEO of DC Studios, and I'd like to see him usher in new projects. So, like, hey, he got Superman going, cool, let's let that keep going over here. Let him usher in another thing. Like, let him do the Authority or something else or something, like let him direct something else. And then eventually let him do the Justice League, like let him do the big thing then. Like, so he started it with Superman, he does something else over here, and then he'll do the Justice League. Like, that's what I'd like to see him do. Like, just sprinkle in and out through things here. But we'll see, because he says he's writing something that is a sequel, not a sequel though. So we'll see what he does.
Hey, Slav, I also didn't know that James Gunn was that decorated of a writer. I didn't know he wrote for Zack Snyder and all these other guys, bro. I didn't know he really is like he's known as a really good movie writer. I did not know.
Very good writer. That's why I want to see the Gunn cut of Superman, because I'm sure it's better.
I hope they do release it one day. I was thinking that on my drive home, because I 100% believe there is somewhere out that they had 2.5 hours, 45 minutes, something like that. And they were like, we need to cut it down for it to be a bigger commercial success.
Yeah.
100%. By the way, on the notion of sequels, and I know we don't want to get too off of Superman, but I will say there are rumors that Matt Reeves might not be directing the Batman Part 2. So I think if that does end up happening, I think he's still going to do it because he wrote it and he probably put his heart and soul into the sequel. But there are rumors he's not doing it, and because of it has something to do, I think, with his personal issues. But the other thing is, if they're willing to do the Batman Part 2 with not having Matt Reeves direct it, they're 100% going to be willing to do the Superman sequel, not having James Gunn direct it.
Interesting.
Fair point.
So what do you got? You guys got anything else you want to bring up?
Not really, bro. I mean, look, man, I am happy. It felt like we've been waiting for this movie for like 7 years. It felt like it's been ages. I've definitely lost some hair, bro, just arguing with people on the internet about this. And I'm just happy that it's out, you know, and that finally, like, it just feels like we've been talking about this for so long, you know, and it's one of those situations where we finally got to see it. And I'm happy that, you know, that is good. And I just really hope that the box office does something because, you know, like, I want more of this, you know, I want more. And that's just my fear, man. I like if they were like to taper him off because this didn't do good, it would not sit well in my stomach. It wouldn't. So I want more.
Yeah, I want the next DCU project.
Yeah.
But I'm annoyed that the next DCU project is Supergirl. Just because we just got well, the next movie.
Oh, okay.
The next movie is Supergirl, and like I would have liked something different than another Kryptonian.
Yeah. But Green Lantern is gonna be gas, bro.
I heard it's supposed to be mature, like R, with a bunch of F-bombs.
That's a good sign.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all for being here. It was a lot of fun. Where can they find superhero cuts and comic cuts and everything like that? We'll start with you, Jerry.
So comics cuts on all platforms. You know, so yeah, follow me, and yeah, I'm definitely active on all platforms.
Stevie?
Superhero Cuts is where you'll find our main podcasts and clips and theories and all the jazz. Find me on Twitter at Superhero Cuts. Where I'm really trolling at is TikTok, making people angry per usual. And I'm also getting more active on Instagram, man. So yeah, everything just Superhero Cuts. Follow me.
And Derpy.
You can find me here on YouTube, Derpy Entertainment. Instagram, Derpman2929. Twitch, Derpy_entertainment. And I do a pod every Sunday night on the Average Voice podcast.
Excellent.
At 9.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed this discussion on Superman, and I'll be back next week for more pop culture discussion. And hey, guys, Superman's out. Go see it. Go see it, and hopefully you enjoy it. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Go check out Superhero Cuts, their show, because it's a lot of fun. Check out Derpy and his stuff. And with all that said, guys, I'll catch you all later.
Peace. Later. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Pop culture, yes, I am.